I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning, but hi and welcome to Learning for Life in the UK test part 95. The Industrial Revolution part 4. We're on page 37 while doing a bit standing yoga. And if you participate in the standing yoga, I just set your mask. So we're having a new sentence. The working conditions during the Industrial Revolution were very poor. So that means the people who had many left the countryside and went into the towns and worked there in manufacturing jobs, in mining and manufacturing jobs, the conditions under which they worked were very poor. That means, maybe we get an explanation, they were dangerous and it was also dirty and they worked too hard and so on. And they weren't paid enough, maybe also. Let's look at what we have. There were no laws to protect employees who were often forced to work long hours in dangerous situations. So they had no laws. We already had something similar, like after the Black Death, which was a form of plague in 1384, the need for cereal crops had sunk, was diminished and was lower. There was a labor shortage and the people demanded higher wages. So just a little bit of it. And here there were no laws to protect employees. So there were no laws which said you can work only for 9 hours a day, or you have to be older than 5 years to mine in a coal mine, or something like that. So there were no laws to protect the employees, who were often forced to work long hours. So they often had to work, I don't mean that the hours took 65 minutes, but maybe it was possible. You can say that a working hour takes longer, and you just say you still have to work only 6 hours, but now the hours are taking 70 minutes instead of 60 or something like that. They had to work not 7 or 8 hours, but let's say 12, 14, 15, 16 or something like that. And often was that in dangerous situations. And the forced to work, they mean, okay, now I don't want to speculate around it, but they had to work under very dangerous situations and they had no alternative to say, no, I don't want to work in that part of a coal mine. We haven't made proper protection against the roof. We haven't made proper pillars. We first have to make proper pillars. Now, if you don't work in that shaft, you're fired and you don't have food to provide for your family. So go in there and mine the coal. Even though maybe we haven't done the pillars properly, we need more coal. Now, the pillars are not here, but we're not paid for pillars, but for coal. So do the coal. And then it is dangerous. The coal mine is not properly supported and maybe it falls down, it's dangerous, people die, and then the children don't have any provider anymore at all. And the poverty increases. So children also worked and were treated in the same way as adults. So children also had to work. So young people at the age of 10, 12, 14, 16, something like that, they also had to work and were treated in the same way as adults. So they had also to work many, many hours a day under not proper conditions. Sometimes they were treated even more harshly, maybe because they don't have a voice to speak up, because they were younger. So they were sometimes even treated more harshly, because they were seen not as full humans. Let's do a bit standing yoga. We're doing the crap at the moment. We're having the feet standing a bit more than shoulder wide apart. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and opening the chest to the sky and bringing the arms down. And breathe again in and lift the arms up. And breathe out and lean back. And breathe in, close the legs. There's the legs also, and close the feet and the legs. And breathe out, and we're doing the read in the wind by leaning back and breathing out and opening the chest also a little bit to the sky. And breathe in back into the middle. And breathe out and lean again back. Breathe in into the middle. And out. Let's do the warrior. These toes are pointing in the this direction and way into that. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're bending the leg which is in front of us. Now breathe in. And out when we're leaning over and we're looking up to the arm overs. And breathe again in. And out into the middle. And breathe in. And out we're going with the arm to the leg behind us and looking up to the arm over us. And breathe in and straighten the leg in front a bit. And out and sink again down. And breathe in. And out back into the warrior. Breathe again in. And out. Next warrior. That leg on the other side. Again, these toes to this direction and the toes into that direction, that foot. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're sinking down. Now breathe in. Out, take right arm onto the leg and look up to the other arm. And breathe again in. And out. Breathing in. And out, take hold onto the leg behind us and look up to the head of us. Now breathe in and straighten the leg in front. And out and sink again down. And breathe again in. And out back into the warrior. Breathe in. And out, we're ending the warrior. So, the working conditions during the industrial revolutions were poor. Many people worked too many hours a day and in dangerous situations, children also, and sometimes they were treated even harshly. This was also a time they had no laws, these workers, no laws protecting them. This was also a time of increased colonization overseas. Let's read on what we have here. Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia and a few colonies were established there. This was also a time of increased colonization overseas. So that means that overseas, so a part of the Great Britain and the English Isles, many other countries were taken as colonies. And we have further explained here that Captain James Cook, so Captain James Cook was a person on a ship and he was there the captain, so he was, as far as I know, the highest person on that ship. He could command all the people, but he also had to do it in a proper way, that the ship does not ram a riff and sinks and everyone dies. So Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia. Australia is down here, and a few colonies were established there. We're having here Great Britain, and Australia is here. And I once said that it wasn't discovered when Sir Francis Drake made the circumnavigation of the world. And now here it was discovered. And Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia. That means he was driving around the coast and he was taking all the time measurements with compass and stuff and looked where the stars are and where all the map is. And so he wanted to try out to find out how big is Australia and where are all the coastlines. Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia. So Captain James Cook with his crew, and I think he had multiple ships even, he sailed around of Australia and mapped where is the coastline. So because some people wanted to know what is this down under continent there, this Australia. And a few colonies were established there. So in Australia, a few colonies were established there. I don't really know what they mean by that. It's a bit poorly expressed, but okay. Britain gained control over Canada, and the East India Company, originally set up to trade, gained control of large parts of India. Colonies began to establish in southern Australia. So let's take that globe, which is impossible to see from over there, over Canada. So we're having here Great Britain, and we already know that many people during the Elizabethan period had settled to the eastern coast of North America, and Canada is here. So here the United States of America, and here's Canada. And Britain gained control over this Canada, so it was governed by Britain. And Britain gained control over Canada, and the East India Company originally, what does what mean? So what part of the sentence belongs to what? And the East India Company originally set up the trade, gained control. I think that is an and. Actually found a comma and written one through. So the East India Company does not gain control over Canada, but the East India Company originally set up for trading, so selling goods back and forth. in control of large parts of India. We have here Canada, the United States of America. Here's Great Britain, here's Europe, here's Africa, and there's India. Here's China, there's India. However, India and originally separate trade and colonies began to be established in southern Africa. So here's Great Britain, and there's Africa, and there's the southern part of Africa. And there were also colonies established. Let's end standing here. We are doing just one pause. So the toes are pointing to the outside. We're having an ulnar length space between our heels. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're sinking down. We're placing the elbows against the insides of the knees. And we're breathing in and we're pretending to come up with the back against the wall. And breathe out again and bring the back up. And breathe again in. And out again into the garden pose. And breathe in and straighten up the back. And out. Bring the back. And breathe again in. And out back into the garden pose. Now breathe in. And out, we're coming slowly in one straight line up. Now we're closing the feet. And we're breathing again in. Doing it for a few times. And out. Your arms can down. And again in. And out. And again in. Now close the hands. And out, we're doing the down diving dolphin. Now breathe in and open the right arm. And out and stretch the right arm to the sky and look over the right shoulder up to the right hand. And breathe again in. And out and take the arm back in. And breathe in and out the left arm to the sky. And out and stretch the left arm up to the sky and look over the left shoulder up to the sky. And breathe again in. And out, take the arm again in. Breathe in and come up into monkey half lift, so halfway up with a straight back. And out again down. And breathe again in, monkey half lift. And out again down. Now breathe in and do the up diving swan. And breathe out and we're done with a standing yoga. So, James Cook, he mapped the coast of Australia. And a few colonies were established in Australia. Britain gained control over Canada, and the East India Company, originally just for trading, gained control over large parts of India, and also many colonies were established in southern Africa. Britain traded all over the world and began to import more goods. So Britain was trading, not just exporting, so selling goods out of the country, but also importing more goods. So it was more trading. Sugar and tobacco came from North America and the West Indies. So sugar, the sweet stuff to bake cakes, and tobacco, that is something which some people use for smoking. And that came from North America and the West Indies. So from North America, they were coming. I don't know what direction. I actually don't know if sugar or tobacco came from what. So you're from North America. From North America, where were coming one of the two, sugar and tobacco, and from West Indies also. Textiles, tea and spices came from India. So textiles, different parts of cloth. Tea and spices. Tea is something to drink, and spices, so things to make food more spicy, sharper or something. Teas and spices came from India and the area that is called Indonesia. So here from India, Indonesia must be, I'm not sure about that. It's somewhere here. I'm maybe going to look at it exactly. No, I can't really know. But that is not a good cloud to read. Somewhere there is also Indonesia. I'm going to look it probably up and tell you exactly. And the area which is today called Indonesia, not that the globe is so old, trading and settlements overseas sometimes brought Britain into conflict with other countries. So because they were trading overseas, but they were also settling overseas, and maybe even more, brought them into conflict with other countries. And that in particular with France, we have in 10 seconds states, which was expanding and trading in a similar way in many of the areas of the world. Thank you very much. Until the next time.